Hello, welcome back to Smart Martial Arts, where we talk about everything martial arts. In this video, I'm going to be giving my own opinion on kicks. I have a list of a bunch of kicks that I'm going to show you, and then I'm also going to grade. The grading scale we have today isn't really a scale, I guess. It's the effectiveness, practicality, and then the ease of learning for a new student. Starting off, we have just the simple roundhouse kick right here. Just like that. I have a little note sheet for later on. Roundhouse kick, it's very simple. You know, you can't really, it's hard to mess it up once you've learned it, like a little bit of it, it's hard to mess it up. It's also really easy to learn. It's one of the first kicks, probably I think it was the third kick I ever learned. And then also, the practicality is pretty much whenever you're sparring. Like if you're sparring someone and at any point they move their hands, you can kick them in the ribs, you can kick them in the head if their guard's down, or you can kick them in the leg. So you can pretty much, you always have a target open for you to hit. So I think overall we're going to do this in the A, B, C, D, and F scale. E, that's not a grading thing, so we're going to kick it out. I think for roundhouse kick, also we're going to throw S in there, I think we're going to do S for roundhouse kick, just because it's so easy. Alright, the next one is the side thrust kick, which is very similar to the side kick, but I said side thrust because I'm going to be doing another side kick. The side thrust kick is just a normal side kick, up, shoot it out like this, and then bring it back. This is very similar to the roundhouse kick, one of the first ones that I learned, and I think the effectiveness, depending on how you use it, it can be very effective. I think there's two ways. There's a push, where you're not trying to, get a lot of power, you're just trying to push something away, but then there's the obvious power where I'm just trying to plant my foot somewhere on a person. So I think effectiveness is really good. Ease of learning, I think this is probably easier than the roundhouse kick, because you just bring your leg up and then shoot it out to the side. And the practicality in this case means a fight or sparring. It's pretty practical. The only really downfall of it is you have to turn your body and they can grab your leg, which is why I'm kind of hesitant to do it. Because whenever I've used it in sparring, they always grab my leg. So I think if you're slow with it, it's probably not the best kick. But if you can throw it out there and kind of move your stance and then just throw it and get it back really quick, I think it's probably better. So I think a little bit less than the roundhouse kick for practicality, but I think overall it's still going to get the S grade from me. All right, so that next kick that I was talking about is the side blade kick, which is different. This one, I'm kicking with this part of my foot. So just right there. It's kind of a weird one to learn. I've asked my instructor, this is kind of if you're going to go for like a small target, like underneath here or here is where I would probably throw that. It's pretty much just the exact same thing as a side kick, but you can just use it a little bit less. So I think the practicality is dropped down. So I'm not going to call this one an S, I'm just going to call this an A, just for overall fairness. The crescent kick, for my scenario, the inside crescent kick or crescent kick is what I call it, is just, turns out I have a strong kick. The inside crescent kick, I guess, is just bring it up and hit with it. When I do this, I hit with this part of my foot and I bring it up on the side. This kick, is a little bit like the roundhouse, but the effectiveness I think is a lot less because it's not really like a power kick where you can really hit someone with it. It's kind of like an annoying, like, oh hey, I have this. It's a really quick hit, not really like a power kick. I'm going to end this fight. So that's going to be taken away. Ease of learning, Same thing, most of these kicks are fairly easy to learn. It's just up and flick it and hit it with this part. It's not that hard for me personally. And then the practicality, there's not really many times that I would use this. If someone's like sparring with me and then they throw like a roundhouse kick and I wanted to, I guess I could crescent kick the out, like, you know, crescent. I guess this would be a reverse crescent, but still same thing. We're gonna lump them together. So, or an outside crescent kick, if that's what you want to call it. But here, just like kind of kick it away. So sparring, I wouldn't really use this. But like weapon scenarios, like a stick, I wouldn't really use this for a knife. For like a stick defense, I think that's fair. Like kick it out of their hand. It's also just a very quick thing, as I said. So just quick, you know, get out of the way, bang, switch. Yeah. So I think that's where it gets the practicality, not so much power. But then I don't really see myself using this. I haven't caught myself using it in sparring. So I'm going to bring this one down to a B for the crescent kick. Now, the back kick is very similar. This is one of the kicks we're going to be talking about later. It's just here. Lift it up and drive it back. It's like a side kick, obviously just going backwards now. This effectiveness, I'm not really too sure. I don't really think a back kick in a normal sparring match is really going to do anything. But if it was, it's a lot of power you can get. Legs are very strong, in case you didn't know. But you can really get a lot of power going back. So I think effectiveness, if someone's behind you, I don't think it's that bad of a move. But assuming that you're keeping your opponent in front of you, I don't think a back kick is going to be very good. Ease of learning, again, super simple. Up, back, and then forward again. And then practicality, I don't really see this one being that practical in a sparring match. It's just, you know, I'm not going to back kick them, you know, to oblivion. So I think this one is probably going to be taken down just because of sparring-wise. It's not that useful. So I'm going to call this one a D. The next kick we're going to talk about is the hook kick. This is probably my second favorite kick after the side kick. Because to me they're very similar. I'm not going to kick the bag. I don't have that power and I can't do it with my left very well. But it's just here. The way I teach it when I do is I kind of tell them to throw like a side kick, but then right before I get the power of it, I just bring it back. Just bang. And what I do is I normally try to kick with the heel of my foot. So effectiveness, I personally can't do a lot of power with this. I haven't really gotten that. It's kind of like a quick little tap, like, oh, that's annoying. So that's going to be taken down for me. Ease of learning, I think this one is probably going to be, so far, the hardest one to learn, just because it's a lot of weird momentum. Like a lot of people are just going to bring it up and then like hook it more, I guess is what it is, but it's not instead of like here and then throwing it with power. So it's a little bit harder to learn. And then practicality, so it's very similar to a side kick, so I'm pretty much just going to give it the same uses of a side kick, just a little bit less, because you now have to kind of hit the side or someone's hand with it. So target-wise, it's a little bit less practical, but overall you can probably use it the same amount of times you can use a side kick. So I think for a hook kick, I'm going to call that a B. The instep kick is very simple. This is actually, I think, the first one I ever learned. That's just here, and I kind of flick it out, and I use the instep of my foot right here, and just do that. Effectiveness, depending on where you aim this, it can be very effective. If you're going for a cup shot, very effective. Other than that, you're not really going to use it unless you're going to kick someone's hand. Like kick the knife out of someone's hand, but that's not a good idea, so I'm not going to count that. Ease of learning, very easy. Probably the easiest one to learn. You go here and you just lift your leg up. So probably the easiest one to learn. And then practicality, I don't really see the real use of this. If I was going to do this, I would probably just use a front kick, which is next, but a front kick would be better than this, because it's very limited of what you can do with it, because for the most part, you have to kick things that are horizontal. So like I'm going to kick a table. the bottom of the table, yeah. But if I want to kick someone in the face, probably not. I can't like reach that high anyway. So I think overall, that's just going to get probably a C for overall. Next, I mentioned previously, the front ball kick is just very similar to an instep kick, but the difference is I'm now using the balls of my feet here. I'm just here driving that. Now, effectiveness, I like this one because for me there's two ways you can use this. There's a push version where I'm just up and I'm kind of pushing you away, not trying to use power. Or there's a front, like I guess a front power ball kick is just what I'm gonna call it for right now. And that's where I'm really gonna like drive and put everything I have and just aim that pressure in one place. Ease of learning, again, super easy to learn. So it's not really good, it's not hard. A little bit more difficult than an instep kick because here I'm now not going straight up. I'm pushing out with it a little bit. If you're doing Muay Thai, just like that, a Muay Thai version of it. And then the practicality, I think, is much better than the instep kick. In fact, Muay Thai uses it quite a bit. They have their teep. So I think this is one of the kicks you're going to see the most. So I think for all of that, I think this is probably going to be an A, just an A tier. No, I'm going to call it an S tier kick. So the flapper kick is what I have here. I don't know what other people call this, maybe like a high-low kick, but that's just I kick low, then I kick high without bringing my foot back. I just leave it here, kick, rechamber, and kick. This one, the effectiveness, I think is a little bit less because of the high-low aspect of it, and you can't really like bring it back down and root yourself again. You kind of have to just go. So I think this one is more effective if you can do it fast and you know where you can hit. Like you can hit your targets very well. Ease of learning, if you can do a roundhouse kick, you can probably do this. I think it's just like an extra step of a roundhouse kick because it's pretty much what I do it is I do just a low roundhouse and a high roundhouse. So I think it's just if you can maybe a little bit harder than a roundhouse because you have to move it, but overall I think it's just a roundhouse kick. And then the practicality, comparing it to a roundhouse kick, it's definitely less practical because I don't really find a lot of times I'm going to kick low and then kick high. The one time I probably would is if I'm sparring someone and I use the bottom one as a distraction. Like I kind of throw this one kind of weak and fast to get them distracted down here, but then when they go for it, I shoot up high and like hit the ribs or the head. So I think if you can use it well, I think it's pretty practical. But that takes a lot of experience, I would say, in sparring. So just for the normal person, I'm just going to call that probably a B. While it is fun to do on a bag, because you can get bang, bang, and you can get like two loud cracks of the punching bag. But for our purposes, it's going to be a B. So I have the spinning back kick next, which, in case you didn't know, is you turn and then throw your back kick, just like that. Bang. Now I do it as kind of like a spinning back side kick here, because I don't like do it straight back down, because I can't look as well until I do this. Comparing this to the back kick, I think this one is much better than the back kick. My only problem with it is this time, right here, where my back is to my opponent and I can't see them. I think that's bad. But overall, it's definitely a step up from the back kick because I'm actually kicking my opponent. And also a spinning back kick has a lot more power because you can really just drive and use the turning momentum along with your leg muscles. So I think it's overall better than the back kick, but that whole away from your opponent for that long takes the practicality away from it for a little bit. So I think it's going to be better than the back kick, but not by much. I think I'm just going to put that as a C. The last kick I have here is what I call the Kung Fu Crescent Kick. That's just how I know it. I don't know the actual name of it. Other than maybe like a spinning wheel kick. But that to me is, I throw it with a crescent kick first, plant, jump here. So it's kind of like a stepping stool kick, what I call the crane kick here. Just jump up and kick. I don't think, so effectiveness, if I were to use this, I don't think personally I would throw this as a jumping crescent. I'd probably throw this as a jumping roundhouse to get myself the spinning power, the height, but then also just the power of my normal roundhouse, I think would be better. Ease of learning, this is probably the most difficult on this list because there's a lot of different moves you have to know here. Oh, plant this, jump off of this as I turn. A little bit harder to learn. And then the practicality is kind of difficult because I don't think I've ever used it in a sparring match. The time that I would use it is if I wanted to kind of like fake my crescent kick, the first crescent kick that I do to set it up. Like fake it so they back up, and then as they're backing up, here, plant, jump, and then follow them with the crescent kick or the roundhouse kick. So in that scenario, it's practical, but just in an overall sparring, I'm not gonna do that just because I'm giving that person my back. So if I can see that this crescent kick actually worked and made them go backwards, then I probably, finish it. But for overall, I think this is probably a D. But it probably is the most fun kick I have. Whenever someone's like, hey, do something karate, that's what I'll show them because it normally gets a good reaction. The last kick is the crane kick, or what I call the stepping stool kick, which is just here and then jump off of this and then throw a front ball kick. Or, if I want to, throw a roundhouse. I think it's very similar to the Kung Fu Crescent kick that I just did. It's a little bit more practical, but not by much, because I'm not spinning, which is where that comes up. But for the most part, the only time I'm doing like this motion is when I do this shield block, is what I call it. Like if I'm blocking a kick, I'll do that. But other than that, I'm not really doing this unless I have the thing that I want to do this. So I think you could probably throw this in there, like if you wanted to do like a teep, but then off of that teep, follow through and follow them backwards with the front ball kick. So I like it better than the Kung Fu Crescent kick if you can use it well. I've kind of gone away from this, but the ease of learning, front ball kick with a few steps, so it's not the hardest kick, but not the easiest, because when I teach kids, I see a lot of them do this here, or they'll jump kick with this and then land on this. So it's a little bit harder to learn, but once I tell them here, jump off of this, land and kick, they get it pretty well. And then the practicality, like I said, is better than the Kung Fu Crescent kick. I think, so Kung Fu Crescent kick was a D. I'm probably going to give this one a B. Just to, because I actually, talking about that, I like it a little bit more. Alright, that pause, or I guess that cut was just me trying to think of more kicks. I couldn't. So, right here on the screen, we have Roundhouse Kick as an S, Side Thrust as an S, Side Blade as an A, Crescent and Reverse Crescent. I just combined them both, and they're B. The back kick is a D, the hook kick is a B, the instep is a C, front ball is an S, flapper kick, as I said, is a B, spinning back kick, C, Kung Fu Crescent kick, a D, and then lastly, that stepping stool kick or the crane kick as a B. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. If you think I might have messed something up or you don't agree, leave that in the comments below. If you want to see me do more of these, either go back to this list at some point, or maybe move to strikes with upper here, upper body strikes, then I'll do that. So yeah, other than that, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.